Today on Vetsplanation, we are tackling a silent threat lurking in the shadows for our pets. It's called heartworm disease. It's an often overlooked but unfortunately potentially deadly disease for our pets. Heartworm prevention is really the key cornerstone to trying to help prevent this disease for our cats and our dogs. Join us as we dissect the danger this parasite poses and arm yourself with the knowledge to be able to protect your beloved companion. From the life cycle of the heartworm to the latest prevention strategies, we are covering it all. So welcome to Vetsplanation, the vet podcast for your pet. I'm Dr. Sugerman, and we're going to be joined today by Dr. Z. So tune in to learn why preventing heartworm isn't just a recommendation, it is a necessity. This episode could be the difference between a healthy pet and a heartbreak, so don't miss it. And don't forget, if you like our content and want to hear more of it, make sure to subscribe and leave us a 5-star review. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Vetsplanation. I have our pretty much resident expert here now, Dr. Z with me again, and I am your host, Dr. Sugerman. So today I'm really excited. We're going to be talking about something that's apparently been a hot topic in our office, at least.
Yes.
We're going to be talking about heartworms.
Yes, heartworm disease, another fun parasite
Yes,
to talk about in detail.
Yes,
Yes, I do.
Well, let's start off. What is heartworm?
So heartworm it's a worm. The Latin name is Dirofilaria immitis. If we break that down, diro means it's like dire, terrible, fearful, dreadful, formidable. That's what diro means.
Yeah.
So it's a nasty one.
Yeah, that's to be terrible. Yeah.
And then filaria means like a thread-like worm, like a filament, like a thread. Okay. And then immitis actually means harsh and cruel. So it's a very negatively named worm.
This sounds terrible. I don't think I've ever heard any other worm named something like that.
Yeah. I don't know if I've broken down the names of other words, but like I looked this one up. I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's not a nice worm. Yeah. So adult heartworms, they are skinny, about a foot long when they're adults. So about the size of your forearm usually.
Wow.
Length, I should say.
Yeah.
And
that's long.
Yes, they're very long when they're adult.
Yeah.
And they live in the heart and the lungs and the associated blood vessels. They infect many different animals. The big ones is dogs, of course, but they can also get into cats, ferrets, wolves, coyotes, foxes, sea lions, harbor seals, bears, muskrats, raccoons, red pandas, leopards, and wolverines. We've found them in all those kinds of animals. And those wildlife carriers are important, unfortunately. They keep the parasite going. So they can get into these other species. Even they've been into humans before too. Like people have found them incidentally, an x-ray of their chest and there's like a spot in their lungs, and then they biopsy and they find like heartworms.
That's
it's
crazy.
Like a granuloma that was just subclinical hanging out in there. Yeah. So pretty nasty.
Yeah.
Even can get in people. But that's not the main host, so they don't really do much else besides make a small little spot. That's not a big deal. So don't worry too much.
Good.
For people. Let's see. They really prefer the canids, though. That's their definitive host, and that's when they can complete their full life cycle, as we'll go into. But since they're in all these wildlife species and they can get into other animals, it's just impossible to eradicate them, probably. We will always be dealing with them, and it's important to continue to protect our pets and ourselves from these kinds of parasites.
And the wildlife.
Yes.
I actually have seen a harbor seal that had heartworm.
Did you? See? Interesting.
Yeah.
I've heard about the seals getting in because they sun themselves, and I'm sure the mosquitoes are out there.
Exactly. I mean, they're just so far out, though. Like, it is interesting, like how, but I guess they do come closer and closer, especially when people start feeding the fish.
Yeah. The city harbors, there's seals everywhere.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So because the wildlife are harboring these worms and keeping them around, it's very similar to rabies. Like, that's a virus. It's not a parasite, but it's because it's in the foxes and the bats and the wolves and other places. It's constantly a threat, and there's probably no way we're ever going to be rid of it because we just can't get it out of those wildlife populations. So the companion pets that we have are like our buffer from rabies. So if we keep them vaccinated, then we won't ever get rabies.
Hopefully.
It happens sometimes. But that's the idea. And that's why rabies is so important to the governments are like, you have to vaccinate, required by law. It's not like similar for heartworm because it doesn't kill people like rabies does. But my point is that the wildlife harbors it and we just can't ever be rid of it. And it's always a threat. So
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So I know you always have like fun facts for us. Do you have any fun facts for us about heartworm?
Yeah, just some historical things. I was trying to look up the history of heartworm, and there's not a lot out there, but apparently in 1586, There was some person, I forgot his name, but I tried to look him up and I couldn't find anything on him. But apparently he drew a picture of a monster worm, like it was a worm that was like a monster, had the monster face on it.
Yeah.
And it was in the heart of a horse. And so that was like the first documented possibility of heartworms being found. But really, they crop up more in South America. They were documented in the 1800s. And then by 1856, they were found on the southeast coast of the US area. And then almost a century later, 1974, is when the American Heartworm Society was established. Those are my little historical factoids about heartworm.
I would say, so my daughter came home the other day and she was talking about how there's this crazy blood death worm.
Ooh.
And I thought about your heartworm stuff and I was like, I wonder if that was the same thing that they were writing about. But I don't know.
You should ask.
She had it in a book at school, so I'd have to ask her which book it was.
I'm curious which worm it was.
Yeah.
Blood death worm?
A blood death worm. Yeah, I don't think that's a real thing from what I looked up because she said the title was like the very true story of.
Oh.
So I feel like it maybe is not a true story.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of myth around worms in general and monsters.
Right, exactly.
They're
creepy.
super scary.
Exactly. Yeah.
It makes everybody's skin crawl.
Yes, exactly. So how does a pet get heartworm?
So they are transmitted by mosquitoes. Straightforward. They get bit by a mosquito. That's how they get it.
Yeah.
And we'll go into the whole life cycle, but to answer that simply,
perfect.
Mosquitoes.
And I think you mentioned this before, both dogs and cats get heartworm. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah. So dogs, again, are their natural host, but the parasite can complete its life cycle best in those species. But cats can get them too. They just don't usually get very far because the cat's immune system is just better at killing the baby heartworms on its own. And occasionally one adult will make it to the heart, but usually it's just one worm that we find incidentally.
Yeah.
Or up to 3, I think, has been reported, like 3 total adult worms. But in dogs, on the other hand, hundreds of them can get into their heart eventually.
Wow.
Yeah. Cats also, they can't tolerate the adulticide treatment, like to kill the adult worms, like it will kill the cat. So there's no treatment for it in cats. So your best bet is to just prevent it. And when cats get the baby heartworms circulating around, usually they just get into their lungs, the baby heartworms, and then they get coughing is the big symptom. So they look like they're asthmatic.
Like asthmatic.
Yeah. They like just have a cough. And that's usually, we just treat them the same. We just give them steroids and stuff to get the inflammation down and get them to cough less.
Yeah.
But you can't really treat the worms themselves, unfortunately.
Yeah.
In cats, you can kill the baby ones with the preventatives, but you can't kill the adults. So it's a bum deal if a cat gets them.
I know, right?
Yeah.
For cats.
It's bad for the dogs too, obviously, but
at
least we can do something or try to do something for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do the heartworms actually get into the heart then? You have to be bit by the mosquito, but then how does that go to the heart?
Let's review the anatomy of the heart, if you don't mind, real quick, for people that don't really know. I think most people know there's 4 chambers in the heart, 2 ventricles and 2 atriums or atria. So the ventricles are on the bottom and then the atriums are on the top. So there's the right side and the left side. Blood travels from the body through the veins back into the right side of the heart. First, it goes into the right atrium, and then from there, it goes down into the right ventricle. And then that ventricle is the muscular, big muscular part. So that pumps it right from the right ventricle up into the lungs. That's where the right side of heart is going. In the lungs is where we breathe, we get oxygen, and then the blood is oxygenated. And then it goes right back to the heart on the left side and to the left atrium and then the left ventricle. And then that left ventricle is even more strong and it pumps the blood all the way to the rest of the body again. So we then get our fresh oxygenated blood for the rest of the body. Okay. So that's the path of the blood. So when these little baby worms are traveling and migrating through the body of the dog, they are making their way into the veins and back into the heart. So eventually they'll get into the right side of the heart, and that's where they love to be. That's where the adults end up maturing. So they're mostly in the right ventricle and up into the pulmonary artery that goes up into the lungs. Right? Yeah. Okay. So they're actually mostly in the lungs rather than in the heart.
Yeah, you think it'd be called a lungworm. Right. That's a totally different thing.
Totally different. Yeah, those are actually in the airways, whereas the heartworms are in the blood that's going to the lungs. So it's a little different, a lot different. But just so people know that's where they're hanging out, they like actually the less oxygenated blood, and they like to stay right there in the pulmonary artery.
It's so weird that they want to go into a less oxygenated thing.
Yeah. I think they just evolved that way because they're pumped that way towards the heart once they start migrating.
Yeah.
I don't know. Let's go through the whole life cycle.
Yeah.
It's a pretty crazy life cycle, and it's pretty impressive. When I first learned about it years ago, I was like, wow, this is just nuts how they developed to do all these things. And the fact that it works, that they can complete a life cycle in this way.
Yeah.
It just blows my mind.
It reminds me of salmon poisoning, like that life cycle.
Yes, with the flukes and the rickettsial
crazy
and
things,
yeah,
yes,
that's
yes.
another, wow, so many things have to come together for this to actually
Yeah, we
work.
see it so often.
Yeah, but it's somehow very successful.
Yeah, exactly.
So if the conditions are right, when we'll talk about the conditions, but the whole life cycle takes around 7 to 9 months to complete, to go from the baby to an adult heartworm. And if we understand this life cycle, I call it know thy enemy. Just like with any parasite, if you know their life cycle, again, that's the best way then to fight them and to prevent the problem. So let's start with the adults. They are in the heart and the pulmonary arteries. They mate. There's males and females, and they mate and they produce little babies. And then the females give birth to these millions of them. They're called microfilaria.
Okay.
So micro just means tiny, right?
Yeah.
Microscopic. And filaria, again, is like little thread.
Okay.
So there's high numbers of these circulating in the blood. And I really have to think about how tiny they are. Like you can't see them unless you look on a microscope. Not much longer than a few red blood cells put together. So they're really tiny. And these are, compared to the adult heartworms in the other stages, they're actually relatively harmless to the dog. Like they're circulating in the blood. And the dogs, I think that's why they're a definitive host. They don't really have a response to them normally. Like they don't mind them being in their bloodstream. So they're just circulating in high numbers all the time, and the dogs are okay with this. And these actually, they can be passed through the placenta to unborn puppies. So puppies can actually be born with these microfilaria.
Okay.
But it's important to note that these microfilaria will never turn into adult heartworms. They have to go through a mosquito first.
Okay.
So even though puppies may be born with microfilaria, they're not going to get adults from that.
Got it.
So they're just having them in their blood. These microfilaria, before I move on, they can live for about 2 years in the bloodstream before they die of like old age. Yeah. So
that's a long time.
Yeah. They're a problem. And when they're circulating, that dog is infectious then. He's going to be able to expose other dogs to heartworms by a mosquito. So that's the next step. So those mosquitoes come along and they bite the dog and they suck up some of these baby microfilarias because there's tons of them in there and they're just sucking them up right with the blood that they're getting. Inside the mosquito, over about 2 weeks is how long it takes, these microfilaria start to molt and grow up. And they go through 2 different molts. So they go to L1 and then L2, actually 3 molts, and then L3.
Okay.
We don't call the microfilaria L1. The microfilaria are their own
just
thing.
their own thing.
Yeah. And then it goes L1, L2, L3. So once they become L3s inside the mosquito, then they can go back into the next dog.
Okay.
Which is crazy, I know.
Yeah.
But then the mosquito will bite another dog and is carrying the L3s. They don't just inject the L3s. It's interesting. There's videos on YouTube. Like,
oh, really?
Yeah, you can see the mosquito bite and it makes a hole where it's sucking blood. And it also spits. The mosquitoes spit a little bit.
Gross.
Yeah. So there's like a little bubble of spit like next to where they're biting.
Okay.
And in that spit is where those L3s go. And they're just like swirling around in this mosquito spit.
Yeah.
And then the mosquito leaves, but that bleb of spit is still there with the baby worms on the skin. Yeah, on the surface of the skin. And they're just swimming around. And then they're like, oh, look, there's that hole that the mosquito just made. And then they like swim down into the hole that the mosquito made with his bite.
Yeah.
And so then those L3s get into the dog.
Okay.
And that's when they can continue along their life cycle. Over the next 6 months, it takes 6 months for these L3s to continue growing up. I call them teenagers. These are the teenager heartworms.
Yeah.
They are L3s and then they go to L4s. So then they're like tweens, right?
You have little tweens, yeah.
Well, tweens and then teenagers. Anyway.
Yeah.
And they migrate through the skin and the muscle, and then they finally get into the bigger veins and blood vessels. And then they find their way to the heart and the pulmonary arteries, and that's where they finally become adults.
Okay.
They can do a final molt and become, we used to call them L5s, but I was told, nope, now they're just adults. Yeah, there's no L5.
Okay.
They're no longer a larva. They are an adult. Yeah, so it goes microfilaria, L1, L2, L3 in the mosquito.
Okay.
L3, L4 in the dog, next dog. and then not L5, but adults become into the heart.
Okay.
So then they breed and produce new microflaria, and the whole thing starts all over again. And one other note I want to make is that those adults, if they're not killed by a treatment, they live 5 to 7 years before they die of old age. In a cat, they don't live quite as long. 2 to 3 years has been documented.
When they're an adult, then they go back to making more microfilariae.
Correct.
Right? And then we're just doing this whole process all over.
You got it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Sheesh.
I know. It's a nutsy
It is crazy. Like the
life
cycle from a
cycle.
dog, back to a mosquito, back to a dog. Yeah.
Yeah. You can imagine that they need to have high populations of dogs and high populations of mosquitoes to establish themselves and keep going with this life cycle.
Yeah. Well, then where are these heartworm found?
Yeah, so warm climates are the big ones, especially near water, river basins. That's where mosquitoes tend to be happiest. And again, where there's large populations of dogs and mosquitoes. But they can establish themselves in less desirable areas if some of these conditions are met at least part of the year. They're found all over the world, especially the tropics and the warmer climates. But besides the US, they are found in Africa, Europe, Asia, Australia, and New Zealand. Where they haven't been found is like the colder areas. So like Antarctica,
I feel like nothing's
Greenland.
Antarctica.
Yeah. Also, I noticed on the maps I was looking at, Sweden, Norway, and Finland don't have heartworm. Too cold there, I think.
Yeah.
In the US, they're very strongly established in the southeast, especially where the Mississippi River basin is, Louisiana, Alabama, Georgia, and areas of Texas as well. That's where some of the resistant strains too, which I'll talk about a little bit. There's some resistant, unfortunately, heartworms out there, and they're coming from that area, the Mississippi River area. But really, they're in all the southern states, including Texas and the southern coastlines. The American Heartworm Society has amazing maps, and they count every year or two, and they put a new map out showing where they are in the country. How they've moved. Yes, that's a big point.
So do we have it here in the Pacific Northwest?
Yeah, so they're not as established here as they are elsewhere, but they are here. They're being documented more all the time. And they've detected the heartworms actually in all 50 states of the U.S. One way or another, they have been documented.
Yeah.
Since 2018, the Washington State Department of Agriculture did actually have 418 cases reported just for Washington since 2018. But I think that's underreported because I've actually diagnosed quite a lot of heartworm the past few years.
We've given you quite a lot of heartworm cases. Yes.
And I didn't know that I was supposed to report it, honestly. Like I don't think I reported any of those. And I imagine there's a lot of other vets like that too that just don't think to do it.
Exactly.
So I feel like there's probably more than 418 since the last few years. Interestingly, the Washington State Department of Agriculture is considering calling it endemic here now too, because they've noticed that it's underreported and that people aren't really following reporting directions.
Now they're like, oh, I'm supposed to do that?
Testing directions and everything, But I actually had Jackie pull some reports for our hospital, and there was 18 total count here in the hospital. 9 of these we treated here. 2 of them were also, these were ones that I saw, they were positive for microfilaria, which was shocking to me because that was the first time here in this very hospital that I saw an infectious dog. I was like, wow, this dog has baby heartworms. Like a mosquito's going to bite this dog and then bite another dog and infect that dog with heartworms. So I was at that point like shocked and convinced that it's a problem here too.
Yeah.
And that it's an easy way to keep our dogs healthy, just put them on a preventative. So I'll get into that more.
Okay.
All of these dogs though, that we've documented anyway, came from outside the Washington. So mostly of them were from Texas. I had one from Mexico and there was one from Georgia.
Yeah.
So I haven't yet seen any that got it here or were documented. You have actually been infected here. It's just a matter of time, I think. But I haven't actually seen one. However, I am on a Facebook group for DVM moms, and there's a subgroup for Washington, like just here. And we talk on Facebook occasionally. And I just asked them recently, I'm like, have any of you seen heartworm positive dogs that didn't travel? And a few of them said yes. There was probably 4 or 5 that I had absolute, they were born and raised here, heartworm positive. Yeah, so that's just another thing that's telling me, oh, shoot, it's here now. Yeah. And the big problem is just generally, though, I think it's happening because there's this huge business to rescue dogs from elsewhere and bring them here. It's very lucrative for these rescue operations. Unfortunately, people have soft hearts, and they just have pictures of these poor dogs on the street, and they're like, will you save this dog? Of course, I'll save it. And then it takes a long time to treat a heartworm positive dog and to do it right. And some of these rescue operations just don't have the funding, or
if they even test for it. I just found out we had one that came from, I think, if I remember correctly, from the Czech Republic to Germany, and then Germany to here. And it was heartworm positive. And I was like, it has to have been negative because it travels, right? And like, no, you don't have to have that.
Nobody ever actually. Here. Yeah, it's more about rabies. Yeah. Right. But maybe we should also be testing for heartworm. I think a lot of the rescue operations are aware and are doing it, but they're not always fully treating them.
Yeah.
And then I think it's hard for the owners too, because it's such a crazy life cycle and it's involved and detailed trying to treat them. They just don't understand the importance of taking them right away to a vet when they get here and test them and be like, okay, is there anything else we need to do? Like some of them, it's like a whole year. We've been here for 18 months. We're from Texas.
Yep.
I'm like, oh, did you get tested for heartworm? Yeah. Oh, yeah. They said they treated. And I'm like, let's take a look and see if they're still heartworm positive or not, because it takes forever. And a lot of them were actually positive. And then we're like, shoot, this dog's been here for 18 months and microfilarial positive. And we're just now getting on treatment. So that's why it's becoming spreading, this huge movement of dogs, and the ignorance around heartworm, I think. Yeah. Is a uphill battle.
Yeah, which is funny because like in Texas, like they are very used to heartworm.
Yes.
But then just don't think about it when you move somewhere else, like to Washington, where it really wasn't endemic before.
Yeah, and a lot of the vets here just, we don't see it. We don't care about this, and you don't need to worry about heartworm preventative.
Yeah.
And then a lot of the times they don't even ask where the dog came from. We don't think to ask the travel history, or the owner moved here 3 years ago and they forgot about it. Yeah, it's just a lot of that kind of is making it difficult and making it possible for these heartworms to spread here.
It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Then how do you test for heartworms then?
Yeah, so blood tests. We do, the first one is just a screening heartworm antigen test. It's quick blood draw. It's very specific to female adult worms, especially pregnant ones. It'll come up positive on that test if there's adult female worms. There's also an antibody test, which detects the body's response to heartworms, not necessarily an active or current infection, though. I think this would be more useful for cats if you really wanted to know if they had heartworm, because they will produce an antibody to them. And if they just have
one worm to get like the antigen from
they might be negative for the antigen test unless they have an adult worm, and they might not have one at all. Or the one adult that they have could be a male, and then it's just secretly hiding there. So I think antibodies we'll do more often in a kitty. There is a microfilaria test too that tests for those babies. You basically just look under the microscope, and there's ways to concentrate them called a Knott's test, where you look harder for those babies. And you can get different counts of how many per field there are and see how many are circulating. But basically it's a positive or a negative if they got the babies or not.
You still send that out?
Yes.
Do you usually look on the microscope here?
You can. I remember learning in vet school.
Yeah, I was like, I did it
too. Yeah, yeah. I think I did too. It's so long ago though, and honestly, I wouldn't know how to do it now, other than looking at a blood smear and be like,
so true. I know. I think I did it on this last one, the one that I had that was positive.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not really sure if it was. I was like looking at it, and I'm like, I know what it looks like. I've seen one before in school, but I didn't see any.
I think it's just like a little tiny worm right next to the red cells. Like, and you have to not stain it. Maybe you'll see a dead one, but you can see the live ones, like on a wet mount. I think that's how they do it at the lab.
That makes sense.
I just send those out.
Exactly.
Because I would be worried I would miss them. Yeah. So there is one other test too, blood-wise. Occasionally, dogs that have had heartworm for a long time, they will produce antibodies to them. And then those antibodies stick to the antigens and hide them from the test, called an antigen antibody immune complex. So if you heat the blood sample up, it'll break up that bond of the antibody and antigen, and then it'll show up positive.
Okay.
So we don't have to do that much here because we don't see a ton of heartworm. Right. But like in the South, that's like a big thing that they'll do, especially if they're confused, like they suspect heartworm and it comes up negative. You can do the heat test to just double check.
It sounds like if they do come from the South, it's definitely something we should do here, though, right?
Maybe, yeah. If you're suspicious for heartworm or like they're positive for microfilaria, but negative for the antigen, like that makes zero sense, right? Like how can they have babies if they don't have adult, like giving birth to them? So then they probably have just the complexes that are hiding the antigen.
Got it.
So yeah, there's just a way to double check that if you're suspicious.
Right.
As far as further testing though, we can also take x-rays and look at the heart. If they have really bad heartworm, they can have physical changes to their heart, like the right side gets really big, full of worm.
Yeah.
And then you can see the worms on an echo, on an ultrasound of the heart. The cardiologists can actually look and see adult
they're
worms.
real creepy.
Have you seen them? Seriously?
In California, actually. It was a dog that traveled there.
Okay.
Yeah, we saw little heartworms in the hearts.
Wow.
Weird.
Yeah. Yeah. So that can be done. Those are all the tests that we have.
Yeah. So how is heartworm treated?
It's a lengthy treatment. I always follow the American Heartworm Society protocol. They have
Clearly they have one.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I think all of us would be like, what do I do?
Yes. I always just, they tell you step by step, and it's fantastic because it's complicated. I would just refer you there if you ever wanted to know. They do what's called an adulticide treatment. Adult meaning the adult worms, and side is killing. So you kill those adult heartworms in a predictable manner, so you can know what to expect. So the goal is to kill the adults in a predictable manner, but also kill and prevent all the babies and the larval stages too, so that they don't get new adults. So you have to hit all the life cycles, unfortunately.
Yeah.
You can't do much for what's happening in the mosquito, but you can try and repel mosquitoes too. That can help. That can be part of the treatment. And you want to do all of this while minimizing the deleterious effects, right? These adult worms are dying. You can imagine if they're a foot long and dying, they're going to let go and start shooting around the dog's lungs and body. And it's just, you can imagine the reactions from that. Yeah. They get lodged in there and clog up things, and they can get embolisms from that. So a pulmonary thromboembolism, or a PTE, we call it, is when like something, it doesn't have to be a worm, it could be blood clot or whatever, blocks up those little arteries in the lungs, and then you get an associated inflammatory response, and you can sometimes not breathe in that area, and it can be fatal. You can die from that. And you can have lasting scarring and fibrosis and like changes in your lungs that are chronic and never going to go away. Even after the worms are dead and gone, you can have these chronic lesions in your lungs from it. So you have to try and deal with that and treat that as you go through this treatment. So there's also, I have to mention before I go into the treatment protocol, there is a bacteria that lives inside of these heartworms. They're called Wolbachia. And they are pretty fascinating. They are what we call endosymbiotic to the worms, meaning endo is inside, so they live inside the heartworms, and symbo is like together, and then bio is life. So they're living inside them and helping each other. Yeah. They both, like the Wolbachia obviously needs to live inside the heartworm, and then the heartworm does a lot better when they have Wolbachias inside of them. They help them live longer. They help them just be robust and healthy, like a probiotic for a heartworm. It's the good bacteria for the heartworm. But so if we kill those Wolbachia, then we are putting a big dent into those heartworms' lives and helping them wither and not live as long. And then also they don't react as much when they die. The dog is more reactive to those Wolbachia when they expose themselves after a heartworm dies, and they get a bigger inflammatory response to them. So if the Wolbachia aren't there, the dogs don't react quite as much to the dead worms. Yeah. So really helps prevent the anaphylaxis and allergic reactions that we see if we don't pre-treat with the antibiotic first. And that antibiotic is, of course, doxycycline. Our favorite. Helps with so many parasite problems.
Exactly.
Yeah, so doxycycline kills the Wolbachia, and all of these protocols, they recommend doing a month of doxycycline before you even think about killing the adult worms. And that just helps those heartworms wither and weaken. Their lifespans are shortened. And it also prevents the L3s in the mosquito. If a mosquito sucks up microflaria from a dog, and then they change into the L3s, inside the mosquito, but then they are just unable to go past that. Like they aren't able to mature into adults eventually. So even though a mosquito might infect an L3 into the dog, or the dog is on doxycycline N, then those L3s don't turn into the adults. Yeah. So it really helps in many areas of the life cycle if we have doxycycline on board. Yeah.
Is that like because that's where the Wolbachia is getting?
I mean, There must be something about Wolbachia that helps
Right.
those
Yeah.
L3s
L3.
turn into adults eventually. Yeah. Like really helps with their maturation.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. That's just when I researched it. It's
Yeah.
one of the things that doxycycline does for us. Yeah. So if we get the Wolbachia out of there, that helps. We also want to, before we start treatment, we want to look at the dog and see how far along they are with their heartworm, like how many worms they have, if we can figure that out, but just like what the symptoms are for their worm load.
Yeah.
So what I've only seen are usually the asymptomatic ones. And I've only, again, seen 5 or 6 cases ever. And so they were maybe had a cough, but maybe it was also just a kennel cough or something
Right.
not related to their heartworms. But that's what we consider mild symptoms, either no symptoms or just a little bit of a cough.
Yeah.
When it becomes moderate, besides the cough, they also have exercise intolerance and abnormal lung sounds. You can hear crackles and wheezes, and they're coughing all the time, and they can't run around very much. They just get tired quickly.
Okay.
That's called moderate heartworm symptoms. Severe is when they have all the above, plus they just can't breathe very well. You can hear a murmur usually at that point. And they can have fainting spells where they just don't pump blood well enough and they can just collapse. And they end up usually going into right-sided heart failure because the worms, again, are on the right side of the heart.
Yeah.
So when they have right-sided heart failure, blood kind of backs up into the right side of the body. And so you can get like a big liver because the liver's right there and it'll fill up with extra blood. And then because the pressures are so high in those veins, like fluid starts to seep out of those bloods and they can get ascites or fluid building up in their belly, and they have these big bellies full of fluid. You can imagine if this goes on, they'll eventually die from the heartworm. But this is really severe, and I've never seen one that bad.
Yeah.
When you were in California, did you ever see such a bad heartworm?
Never. Yeah. Like even the one that we had seen, we were doing an echo on, it never got that bad. It was like literally there for a cough. Somebody thought they had heart failure. They sent it to the cardiologist.
Okay.
And ended up having heartworm.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So it wasn't even sent there for it.
Okay.
Because even then, that cardiologist said that she didn't see very many of them in California.
Yeah. So I think if you're not practiced at looking for them, you miss them easily.
Yeah, exactly.
Crazy. But I think like in down south where there's a lot of untreated dogs, Mexico, those sort of places, they probably have dogs like this with severe heartworm disease.
Exactly.
There is one further step past the severe category called caval syndrome. And this is when there's so many worms, like this is the one dog that has hundreds of worms in his heart. They actually start to block the tricuspid valve from actually being able to close at all. It's like,
so that's the first valve between the right atria and right ventricle.
Correct. It usually closes so that the right ventricle can then pump blood to the lungs. So if that valve can't close, it's like that blood isn't getting into the lungs anymore. Not very well anyway.
Yeah, it just pushes right back up to the right atria.
Yeah, so just the heart stops doing its thing.
Yeah.
And so with the caval syndrome, there's just like a sudden onset of lethargy, and they also get hemoglobin building up in their blood and their urine. I'm not sure why.
That's because all the red blood cells are lysing. So hemoglobin builds up in there.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Just because it's so turbulent inside.
All the turbulence plus trying to go back to the tricuspid, trying to go back through all of those worms, it'll just break all the red blood cells down.
Okay. So they get the hemoglobin building up everywhere. And then the other big symptom for caval syndrome is they'll get pulses visible in their jugular vein. Normally the veins don't have a pulse because the blood's just slowly going back to the heart. And we see pulses in our arteries because that's where it's being pumped out from the heart. But if we start seeing blood pulses going the wrong way, that's because the blood is not pumping the right way anymore. Yeah. And so that's like a key symptom with caval syndrome is they'll got the jugular pulses. And then usually if that goes untreated and you don't take those worms out surgically, they will die within 2 days, if not sooner, once you start seeing that. So super severe. And yes, it can kill a dog.
Yeah. Yeah.
Takes a long time, I think, to get to that point, but that's certainly the end stage heartworm disease, actually.
It's terrible.
I've never seen that either, but I've heard about it.
Yeah. I've seen videos of it, but that's about it. Like them removing it from the Venezuela.
Yeah. So I've never referred anybody for that kind of a treatment, but that's another way to treat is to, have a specialist go in. I think they go in through the veins, right? And
to the jugular vein. Yeah.
Yeah. And then into the heart through there and physically pull out adult heartworms like in bunches.
Yeah.
I've seen videos
so
of it.
Crazy.
Yeah. I doubt they could get all of them, but they probably get a lot of them so that the valve can actually close again. Yeah. You can save them that way. Yeah. So let's go into, now that we know that background, let's go into the actual American Heartworm Society treatment protocol. It's about a year-long protocol, and they go month by month on it. So the first step is to confirm that the dog's positive. So say we're just screening and the antigen surprise comes up positive. You want to test again to make sure before we go through all of this. So you test one more time. And on that second test, you should do a microfilarial test as well if you haven't already, just to see, are they infectious or not? And do we need to deal with those microfilariae at first or not? And then they also recommend at that point putting a mosquito repellent on, which is new. And since I went through this again, they didn't say that before, but they're saying that now.
Yeah.
It totally makes sense, right? You want to try and keep the mosquito bites down while you're treating all this. There's a few different just over-the-counter flea medicines that also cover mosquitoes. So these would be like Frontline or Advantage or Vectra, which we have in the hospital.
Okay.
They're actually pretty good at repelling mosquitoes.
Nice.
Yeah. So I would double up on that. And double up with your heartworm preventative, plus add on a topical mosquito repellent at this point. Yeah. And then at this point, you're going to also determine the severity of the disease. Are we mild, moderate, severe, or cable syndrome?
Yeah. Or terrible.
And / terrible. Yes. Right. Again, all the ones I've seen have always been mild, so I didn't have to do a whole lot more at that point. But assuming they are like in heart failure or something, you've got to take measures to try and stabilize that. Right. Heart medication, diuretics, whatever it takes to get their heart working better as it can. And then you want to start your doxycycline like right away. Basically, day one, you're going to start your doxycycline for 4 weeks. Course is recommended to help those Wolbachia die, and it starts those worms to withering and all of that. If they have symptoms like they're coughing, or if they're positive for microfilariae, you want to start steroids at this point too. Okay. It'll help with reactions to dying baby heartworms and help with the coughing and the inflammation in the lungs. Yeah. So you do doxycycline and prednisone usually right in the beginning. Also, it says if they have microfilariae, you could do some Benadryl as well. Just get them on Benadryl too. Yeah. Why not? Yeah. And then you give your first heartworm preventative. And I always use Simparica Trio, but there's a bunch of them out there. And I will go through this later. And then at this point, you're going to start exercise restriction, which is one of the hardest things with these heartworm treatments. You can imagine if the dog's running around and his heart's beating really fast, and we start having baby worms dying and everything, they're just shooting around even faster and more likely to have anaphylaxis problems and pulmonary thromboembolisms, and all of that. So you have to, through all of this, restrict their activity. You don't have to be super strict at this point, but you're going to start thinking about it, and you're not going to go on runs and play with your dog and have a fetch the ball and stuff. You have to just walk everywhere. Yeah. Okay. Then on day 30, so a month after starting all that, you give your second monthly preventative. So another dose of Simparica Trio. And they say here you put on another mosquito repellent. So another dose of Frontline. Okay. And then you're just going to wait the next month. Don't do anything after that. Because if you give a month after the doxycycline finishes, then for sure all those Wolbachia bacteria are going to die. And it just helps. In the studies that they've done over time, there's a lot less reactions to everything if you just give a good month after the doxycycline to just help those worms wither. Okay, then on day 61, you give another dose of Simparica Trio, because we're on the 3rd month now. And then you do your first big adulticide treatment. And this is the only way to kill those adult worms is basically a big arsenic shot. It's a poison. It's called melarsamine, but it's like similar to arsenic. Right. And we have to do a big shot in the muscles in the back. And it seems like that's best tolerated by the dogs in that spot. It's still very painful. Some dogs I've been able to do awake. Other ones are crazy and moving, and I've actually just sedated them so that they're quiet while I give the giant shot.
Not so painful.
Yeah, it's not a giant shot. It's usually a mil or two, but it's just creepy. I'm always like shaking when I'm doing it. I don't like it. And I've noticed on some of the first ones I treated, they were like Nicole's dog, actually. He was positive, and so he was very drooly and like shifting after I gave it and like nauseous. And so I started treating him on the future shots with Xenia and gabapentin, and it totally changed and made it all much better. So now I just do that for all of them. Yeah. They get Xenia and they get gabapentin. So Xenia, for those that don't know, treats nausea, makes it less nauseous. And then gabapentin is a nice painkiller. It's also sedating, which is nice because we want them to be real quiet when we're doing all of this. I might just give a few weeks of gabapentin. You can just keep using it if you need it. At this point, also, when you start the melarsamine shots, you want to do pred again. So another whole tapering course of it to help prevent reactions to the dying worms. Right. And then this is where you start your strict exercise restriction. So you basically have them in a crate all day and you take them out on a leash. Don't let them run out in the backyard to poop and pee. You go out there on a leash, poop and pee, come back in, get in the crate. So you basically have to be quiet for a good couple months at this point.
Yeah.
Cage restriction, unfortunately. The American Heartworm Society has some really nice links and tips to keeping your dog entertained while they're cage restricted.
That's really nice. Yeah.
Yeah, just food puzzles and toys and stuff that they can chew on in the crate to keep their mind from going bonkers.
Being in the crate, exactly.
Yeah, and we can certainly help with drugs like gabapentin and trazodone and just keeping them sleepy most of the time. It'll help them get through this without trouble.
Yeah.
Also, prednisone causes weight gain and it has side effects. They drink a lot, they pee a lot, and then they're not moving. And so you can expect some weight gain at this point, which is like almost impossible to prevent. Although I did have one pug owner that her little positive pug, she was really good about restricting food and he didn't. I'm sure she was miserable,
Yeah,
but
I'm sure.
she didn't gain weight. She stayed steady. I was very proud of those owners.
Nice. Especially for a pug.
Yeah, I know. It's been awful at home, but yeah, the inactivity and the pred just usually it's not fun, but you got to do it. You got to create them.
Yeah.
Day 90, another dose of Simparica and then we give the second melarsamine injection. We give another course of pred. If we tapered it off, we have to restart it again the next month. And then day 91, so the very next day, we do the third and final melarsamine shot.
Oh, wow. That's real fast.
Yeah. So basically, there's 3 melarsamine shots to recap. You give one, and then you wait a month, and then you give 2 more a day apart.
Okay.
So there's 3 total. And then after that third melarsamine shot, so day 91, you have to continue the strict exercise restriction for another 6 to 8 weeks following the last injection. So basically, those first 3-4 months, you're keeping your dog super quiet.
Yeah.
Yep. And then you just keep going after that with the monthly preventative. So keep going every month, Simparica Trio afterwards. You can let the pred wear off at that point, and hopefully the weight gain isn't so bad after that.
Hopefully.
Yeah. And then on day 120, it says to test for microfilaria. You just want to see have we cleared microfilaria or not. The 2 positive dogs that I had that were positive for microfilaria, they were negative at that point. So I was like, Simparica Trio works.
Right.
We're no longer infectious. And then after that, you just wait till the year mark. So this would be about 9 months after the final melarsamine shot.
Okay.
If you test before then, you're probably still going to be antigen positive because, again, it's just detecting those adult heartworms. They're probably not completely dissolved and absorbed by the dog at that point. They're, even though they're dead, they're probably still there and hanging out in the lungs in bits.
Yeah.
And coming up positive on the test.
Right.
So they say after the 9-month mark, though, if you killed them all, they should be negative at that point for the antigen test. And the few that I've done were negative at the year mark. Thank goodness.
Nice.
So I did see it all work.
Yeah. This does work.
Yeah. If they're still positive, though, then there's directions on the American Heartworm Society. You're supposed to retreat with another month of doxycycline and then do 2 more melarsamine shots 24 hours apart. So basically repeat it all.
Right.
And keep testing. And
yeah.
I would say, I'm wondering what the scenario would be, why they would still be positive. I guess the melarsamine just failed and didn't kill all of them.
Right.
Yeah. Or they got infected again.
Yeah. I was going to say maybe they just got infected again.
Yep.
Especially in that 1 month when they're not on anything.
Yeah. If they didn't give the Simparica Trio every month, they could have a window where another mosquito bit them. Yep.
And then, so there's been a slow kill method now that I've heard talked about.
Yeah.
Can you tell me about that?
So, the slow kill method doesn't involve the melarsamine injections because it's horrible to go through that. And a lot of people just don't want to do that to their dog. And a lot of the shelters, not a lot, but there's been a couple, the rescue operations, they're like, oh, we just do the slow kill here. And that's what we're giving your dog as we ship it to you in Washington. But it's a misnomer because you're not actually killing the adult worms at all. So the preventatives like ivermectin, I'll just go into it. So there's the macrocytic lactones are all the options for heartworm prevention. Those include ivermectin, selamectin, milbemycin oxime, and then moxidectin. So those are the 4 options. The brand names for those, like the ivermectin is in HeartGuard Plus or Iverheart. There's a lot of them out there. And then selamectin is in Revolution. That's the topical prescription one. And then we have milbemycin oxime, which is in Interceptor and Sentinel, I believe, and Trifexis has milbemycin. And then there's NexGard Spectra, which I don't think they make anymore. That had milbemycin oxime in it. But now they have NexGard Plus, which has the moxidectin in it. And so does Simparica Trio. Simparica Trio has moxidectin. And I think of all of them, moxidectin is the best from what I can gather. But I wanted to point out moxidectin is the one that does actually get the resistant strains of heartworm that are emerging from like the Mississippi River Basin. That's where these resistant heartworm worms are. That's where they're showing up. And so milbemycin and selamectin and ivermectin, the older heartworm preventatives, they don't touch those resistant heartworms at all. They just don't work at all.
So would it be fair to say you could use one of those other ones first, and if that doesn't work, then you have to go to the
moxidectin?
Moxidectin.
I mean, you can. They're still available and they still work great on the most of the other heartworms. There's a very small amount of these resistant ones. They don't seem to be, thankfully, that prevalent. So I think any heartworm preventative is better than none, but it seems like the moxidectin works the best against these resistant ones. So maybe those are the ones we really should be using, just so we don't have to worry about resistant strain.
Great.
Simparica Trio has moxidectin. Advantage Multi has a topical with moxidectin in it. Those work for resistant strains too. And then the ProHeart injections, that's really high dose of moxidectin is in that one. So I just wanted to make sure I mentioned that's what covers the resistant strain.
Got it. Okay. I think it's the newest one as well.
It's actually an old medication. It's been around a long time. It's also an Advantage Multi, which is a topical. And it's been labeled for many different dewormer treatment. So those slow kill methods use just a preventative with one of those medications in it. And they just give it every month. And they say, okay, eventually the adults will die on their own. And then we're just
5 to 7 years.
Exactly. So for 5 to 7 years, these dogs still have adult heartworms. And so, maybe you're killing their babies slowly and preventing any new ones from becoming additional adult heartworm. But they're not killing the adults at all.
Or the Wolbachia.
But there is another slow kill method that follows it. They call it the MoxDox slow kill method. So they use moxidectin, either an Advantage Multi or Simparica Trio or NexGard Plus, and they give doxycycline as well for a month. And then then the Wolbachia are withering the adults, and maybe they don't live as long, so maybe 2 to 3 years if we're lucky, instead of 5 to 7. But still, it doesn't kill those adults. So they're still dealing with those. Also, I think moxidectin at higher doses has been shown to kill some of the adult worms, or maybe they die a little bit more quickly, again, because their lifespan is shorter. But we just don't know when they're going to die. So that's another risk for these types of protocols, because at least with the American Heartworm Society one, we know when they're dying. We know when we have to exercise restrict them. During this 8-week period, they have to be cage rested. If you're doing slow kill, they could just randomly have an adult die whenever. And then they're like, boom, running around one day and they die from anaphylaxis. So it's less predictable and less safe, in my opinion. And it's not recommended by the American Heartworm Society. It's only, they advise against it unless it's like a salvage procedure, which when they just can't even consider adulticide treatment at all for whatever reason.
Cost maybe?
Maybe. It's not that bad. I want to say it's few $100s to buy the melarsamine. And then there's like the rechecks and stuff, but it's, I don't know, it's not as extremely expensive treatment. So I really see no reason to do the slow kill method. You can imagine physically worms in the heart are just constantly banging around in there as the heart's beating and causing damage to the heart and the lung chronically. It's good to get them out as soon as possible.
As soon as possible, about 5 to 7 years.
So I don't recommend the slow kill method.
Okay. So then can you recap from like how you prevent heartworm and so that we don't have to go through this, right? So we don't have to ever have to go through the melarsamine injections.
That's the idea, is not have to end up doing any of that. So back to the macrocytic lactones, those are our big choices for prevention. And what they do is basically all of them kill the L3s and the L4s.
So before the adult, before then.
So they get bit by a mosquito that has an L3, and those L3s are then capable of turning into adults into the heart of the dog. So if we give them a monthly preventative, they're killing the L3s and the L4s before they become adults. Some of them will kill the microfilaria too, but they do it with different degrees of effectiveness, I should say. A lot of them are combo products too. Like they're just trying to make it easy because there's more than heartworm that we need to worry about, right?
Yeah, fleas
and ticks, like we talked about
Right.
before.
Yes.
And they bring their own problems. And so they've just basically added heartworm preventatives to those other kind of treatments. Besides the orals that I already mentioned, there is an injection called ProHeart. This ProHeart is just straight moxidectin, and it's a very slow release formula. So you give it a shot under the skin, and it just over 6 months slowly dissipates and kills baby heartworms and L3s and L4s.
Okay.
There's also a 12-month one, which is crazy, but it lasts for a whole year.
So there's a 12-month one.
There's a 6-month and a 12-month now. Yeah, Zoetis came out with it. We don't have that here because we just don't see a lot of heartworm, but it's a big product in the South for vet clinics.
Yeah.
So you could just do that and just take care of heartworm with that. But here we see so many other parasites too that we just added it to the oral combo products. And there's always better ones coming out. Who knows what I'll be recommending 5 years from now?
Or even a year from now. Who knows?
I know. Yeah, it's crazy. And then adding in the mosquito repellents seems to be helpful too, especially in the beginning, or if you're in an area with a ton of mosquitoes, you should probably be doing that on top of the heartworm preventative.
Right. And that was the Advantage and the front line you were talking about.
And Vectra, yeah. You don't want to put DEET on your dog, like the stuff that we use when we were hiking.
Yeah.
It's just a little more toxic to dogs and cats, but also they are more likely to lick themselves. Like humans don't usually go around licking our arms after we spray DEET on there. But dogs and cats will often lick and ingest some of that DEET, and then it's really bad. Yeah, they have all kinds of neurologic. I'm sure you've talked about it. Or seen it.
Seen one before. I haven't talked about it yet, but I've definitely seen one. Yep.
Yeah. So it's not good. I don't recommend the DEET products at all, but the ones that are labeled for dogs and cats, Advantage, Frontline, and Vectra, can be repellent as well. And also I mentioned, I don't know if you remember in the flea one and the tick one, the isoxazolines do actually kill mosquitoes too. They kill lots of insects, but so after the mosquito bites, it will die, which is nice. So it won't go on to infect another dog with heartworm. Yeah. But it doesn't prevent it from biting though. So if you want to have some repellent activity, you can double up with one of the topical. Yeah. Strepto collars too will repel. Yeah. They have the flumethrin, I think, in their collars. Yeah. Which helps. They don't like the smell of it. Yeah. And they don't land on the dog. Yeah.
Nice. And so I remember learning that all dogs should be tested before we give heartworm prevention. Because apparently we could kill the dogs, right, if we just go ahead and give it. So is that true?
Actually, it's not true. It's always a concern, right? If you have a high burden of microfilaria, baby heartworms circulating, and then you start killing them, there's a chance the dog's going to have some allergic reactions to all of those baby dying heartworms. However, it's not as bad as you think. You don't need to bother testing puppies that are less than 6 months old because there simply is no way that an adult worm can develop that quickly. It takes about at least 6 months for a teenager heartworm to turn into an adult heartworm and get in the heart. And the tests that we have, unfortunately, only test for the adults. Like you can't test for the teenager.
So
like L3s and L4s. Yeah. You can only detect the adults once they're there. So there's really no reason to test a puppy less than 6 months before starting a heartworm preventative.
Okay.
Just go ahead and start those young puppies on a preventative, and it'll kill any teenager heartworms that, even if they were bit by a mosquito when they were first born and given some teenager heartworms, those aren't going to get into their heart for 6 months.
Okay.
Yeah. Just go ahead and start those puppies on a preventative. Yeah. They've done some pretty amazing studies, like giving dogs heartworms. I don't know how they do it.
Infecting them.
They implanted, and I was reading the study, 24 dogs were implanted with adult heartworms, 10 females and 10 males.
That's so weird.
I wonder how they actually do it. Like, where do they get these adult heartworms? Right. And then how do they, they go in the vein?
The jugular again? Just, I don't know.
Crazy.
That's weird.
But they do it. And then they wait for those adults to set up house and start making babies. And then they documented they were all microfilaria positive.
Okay.
And then they gave them, I think the specific study I'm thinking of was on Simparica Trio, and they gave them 1 dose and 3 times the dose.
Okay.
And without any Pred or Benadryl or anything. And they all were fine.
Okay.
A couple of them, I think 2 out of the 24 dogs had transient fevers. Nice. And that was it. Nice. Like a day of a fever, and but there was no anaphylaxis or anything else. So after reading that, I'm like a lot more comfortable with, it doesn't really matter if you're positive, we're not
So we
going
can
to
go ahead
hurt
and
you.
start them on it.
Yes.
Okay.
But that said, it's always a good idea to test first,
Right.
right? It's always,
Right.
and it is recommended by the American Heartworm Society. Like we should be checking every year, pretty much all dogs for heartworm, especially before putting them on a preventative, not just to make sure they're not positive for microfilaria, but also to start documenting and
Right.
not missing so many cases because we're starting to see more
Yeah.
and more. So I feel like, we should be screening for it more in general.
And if we don't, we're essentially just doing the slow kill method again and not actually treating them
Yeah.
because we don't know that they're positive.
And that's why I think these rescues think, it's fine. We're just giving them the Simparic Trio or HeartGuard every month, and eventually their heartworms will die, and we're not going to hurt the dog with it. So the test is not imperative to do before you start treating.
Yeah.
And again, since we don't see it a lot, I don't really harp on it as much as I probably should. I have enough to talk about during the appointment.
Right.
But the only product I think that they insist on the label testing first is the ProHeart 6 and 12, because it's a really high dose of moxidectin. And I think you're probably going to kill the babies off really quick.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. And moxidectin is one of those drugs, like the more you give it, like the longer repeating courses of it, the higher effectiveness it is.
Oh, nice.
So like it won't kill all the baby heartworms right away. It takes a few months for them all to die. And that's why on the protocol, they recommend not testing for microfilaria until day 120.
Yeah.
Because by then, enough, like 3 or 4 months of the Simparic Trio should have killed all the baby heartworms by then.
Right.
Yeah. But it might still be positive a month or two before that. Yeah. So
that's really good to know. We actually had a patient who we weren't sure their symptoms, that they were like anaphylactic symptoms, were from them starting heartworm prevention when we knew now that the dog was heartworm positive. So it's good to know.
Yeah, it's okay to go ahead and start it. Yeah.
Okay. And then, so is there any over-the-counter heartworm preventions that we can use?
No, simply. Nope.
Just mosquito repellent. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. You can repel the mosquitoes with over-the-counter products, but you can't kill baby heartworms or adult heartworms with over-the-counter meds. Nothing works.
Yeah. All pretty much veterinary drugs.
Yep. And it's important to have a vet help you through it too, because it's such a tricky thing and you got to do it carefully and keep checking and monitoring to see how we're doing.
Yeah. And also to give as little drugs as possible, so that way you're giving other drugs for fleas and ticks and
Yeah. There's so many parasites.
Yeah.
That's why I really like Simparica Trio, just because it makes it so easy.
Right.
Just do everything in one, and the owner doesn't have to think twice about it.
Right. Exactly.
So, yeah. One thing I'll mention about NexGard Plus, because that also has moxidectin in it, and I think it would be another good option. But the moxidectin dose is a lot lower than Simparica Trio. And so it's actually not as certain that it'll kill the babies.
Yeah.
Microfilaria. I prefer the Simparica Trio because it's got a higher dose of moxidectin.
Yeah. Nice.
As far as sources go, I encourage everybody listening to just check out the American Heartworm Society website. It's amazing. They have all kinds of resources. They go over the life cycle in detail, and they have client handouts and like easy to read things that kind of show you why we recommend this and that, and busting myths and that kind of thing. And then, I looked at good old Wikipedia, and
I saw that.
Yep, there's some great info there. And veterinarypartner.com is a good resource, like for any kind of vet questions. Yeah.
I will say, when you do veterinary partner, you do have to make sure that you've spelled whatever it is correctly.
Okay.
Like if you accidentally misspell heartworm, like you spelled H-A instead of H-E-A, it will not pop up.
Interesting.
So you do have to actually spell it correctly for things to pop up.
That's good to know. Didn't know that. Yeah, and then the American Animal Hospital Association, AHA, they had a lot of good info on heartworm as well. And when I was trying to figure out like the history of heartworm, I actually ended up at the Encyclopedia of Arkansas.
Arkansas.
Yeah, that's where I found like the years that the monster heartworm was found. Kind of stuff. And then there is one good article about the safety of moxidectin for microfilaria positive dogs that I actually sourced there for anybody if they want to read the whole study.
Absolutely. And we'll post that on there in our links as well too.
Good.
All right. Perfect. Well, is there anything else that you wanted to add to this?
You always ask me a question.
I do always ask you a question. So my question today is actually going to be like, how did you get into parasites in general? What is it about parasites that you love so much?
I don't know. I don't have a good answer. I'm trying to think. Like I
thought you were going to say because you can prevent them, you can treat them.
Well, of course. That's really imagine something that happened to me and made me hate parasites and want to kill them all. And I can't think of any one thing except like I really hate mosquito bites. And I hate flea bites too. I've been
Yeah.
bit by fleas, and I think I'm allergic to them because I get like a welt the size of a quarter,
Yeah.
and it's 20 times as itchy as a mosquito bite. And I'm miserable.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're there
It's
for
kinda
a
tricky.
week before they finally go. It's
Yeah.
just, so I really hate fleas, like with a passion.
Right.
Mhm. Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Can I ask you a question?
Oh, yeah, sure.
What is your favorite color?
Yeah. So my favorite color is blue. It always has been blue, like even since I was
Interesting.
little. Yeah. I even had the little parakeets. I had, I don't know, like 6 of them because they kept dying. But I had all 6 of them are named Baby Blue. So it's just Baby Blue
Oh,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6.
that's hilarious.
Yeah, I know it's a really common color for all boys to like, but yeah,
Yeah,
definitely blue is my favorite
that's
color.
funny. Mine's green. I just like green.
Yeah.
Peaceful, calming.
Yeah. I think it's actually too because so I have the same as my grandpa.
Oh.
And he had very blue eyes that turned like grayish eyes. And so I always remember like his very blue eyes.
Oh, that's super neat.
Yeah.
You have blue eyes too. I just
Two blue
noticed.
eyes, yes. They did start to turn gray just like his. But yeah,
Oh,
they were like a very bright blue when I was little.
super nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Blue is a good color
Yeah.
for sure.
Asking me a question.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, I should ask him a question.
Yeah. I love
Let's
it.
keep it simple.
Yeah. Nobody ever asked me a question. So, yeah.
I'll have to think of a better one next
Okay.
time.
All right. Well, perfect. Thank you, Dr. Z. I appreciate this so much coming on to talk about Heartworm. I know how much work you put into this to like come up with this today. So I really do appreciate that because it's going to help us, especially like us in the clinic, since
Good.
we don't know a lot about it too. A lot of times we just send it over to you.
Yeah, which I'm happy to take it. But I think it helps if everybody knows about it.
Exactly.
And is aware of the increasing numbers, that this is something we should start really helping dogs with and preventing.
And also just to know what we should start with to give doxycycline and prednisone
Yes.
before they have an
Yes,
appointment.
and the other big thing I'll make, if you get a positive on a screen test, send it out again and do the microfilaria test too.
Right.
Yeah, do both. And then start your doxycycline and then send it over to me.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you again. And thank you to everybody listening.
Yeah.
As always, make sure to keep your pets happy, healthy, and safe.
Thanks.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
I just want to say thank you again to Dr. Z for all of this really important information that she has given to us about heartworm disease and heartworm prevention. Our goal is to really help people to be able to save your pet's life. Also, thank you to Sumner Vet Hospital for allowing us the space to be able to record, to Sean Heiberg for doing our editing, and for Kelly Dwyer for doing our website. In the next coming weeks, we're going to be hearing from the ophthalmologist to learn more about how an ophthalmologist helps our pets. We'll see you next week.